What happens when love goes beyond borders? Our next guest, John Edward McGraw, is the creator of the Intercultural Exchange and is here with more on navigating culture in relationships. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Rick. Very excited.
This is a topic you're familiar with.
Oh, yes.
You have
very
living
much so.
experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Because I'm married to a wonderful woman, Japanese background, but she grew up in Argentina, born and raised there. Yeah. And there was certainly a number of experiences that we had, navigating that and a lot of misunderstandings that came up.
Okay. Like what? What examples?
Okay, early on in our relationship, I started shaving my head, and I sent her a photo and said, "What do you think?" And her response was, "Oh, looks aren't important."
Okay.
And I was kind of really offended by that at the time, but she was being very sincere.
Right.
And here's the fascinating thing. We were living in Japan at the time, and when I tell the story to different friends, their reactions really depended on what their background was. So my Canadian friends completely understood why I was offended, but my Japanese friends understood where my wife was coming from. She was sharing the sentiment that it's really what's inside that counts.
Right.
And this is something that really pointed out to me that culture doesn't just influence how we speak to each other, it influences how we listen to each other based on our own assumptions with everything that we've grown up with. So if we can understand that, not just about our partners, but about ourselves, then it really helps us to head off all of these misunderstandings that pile up over time because we're assuming what the message is from our partner.
What do intercultural couples navigate and some of the challenges that they navigate? What are some of the issues, I guess, that come up?
Well, a lot of it really comes down to assumptions. Like, going back to that example with my wife, here in Canada, we hear that, oh, looks aren't important. We assume it's kind of a backhanded compliment. It's an insult or something. Yeah. But that's based on, what our popular culture shows, what we learn from our parents, everything. So we start to assume that that's some kind of universal standard, universal message. And the fact is, there isn't necessarily a universal message. Obviously, we love each other, but the way we show it in different ways can be through that, not just those kinds of expressions, but, how comfortable we are hugging and kissing in public, for example. Do we show love through how we say something, or is it through our actions, like preparing food? All of that, really shapes it. And if the partner doesn't match what we expect, we grew up, we assume, oh, they don't love us or something like that. And that can be a big problem. We really need to communicate better and really listen and get past those assumptions.
And I was going to say, communication is probably the foundation of working through some of these differences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It comes down to just, first of all, catching those assumptions when you're making that. Like that situation with my wife. Initially I assumed, oh, well, that's an insult. But then I had to stop and think about it. And it's like, well, hang on. Is she really insulting me? That doesn't make sense, what I know about her. She's a loving person. She's not that kind of person. Right. So, it's just listening and taking that time to communicate.
Yeah. Love languages and cultural languages. What when these two are, kind of side by side, what does that mean?
Well, it means that we all, as I said, we're humans, we all love, but the way we express it can be very different. So, for example, are we comfortable kissing in public? My wife, coming from Argentina, very comfortable with that. Loving. I grew up in Canada. My family was a little more reserved in that fact. And we lived in Japan. And in Japan, like, showing public affection is really a no-no. So in the beginning, she'd be wanting to hug me in public. And I kind of pulled back a little bit, just because, not because I didn't love her, but because, I was feeling these double tensions.
Sure, yeah.
So we had to actually sit down and talk and hang on. She's not being needy. I'm not being cold. But we talked it through instead of accusing, why are you pulling away? Or why are you hugging me all the time? It's like, so where is that coming from?
You talked about it and figured it out.
Exactly.
We've got about 45 seconds. You have an event coming up next week.
Yes. It's the Intercultural Exchange. It's going to be the first in a series. So this is the premier event, Love Beyond Borders. It's a storytelling event, taking intercultural communication from academics and bringing it into real life. We've got 4 speakers, amazing speakers. They all have experiences with romantic partners across cultures. So this is happening in Toronto, April 14th from 7 p.m. And information is all at theinterculturalexchange.com.
Okay, great information. I hope a lot of people will come out and learn a lot. I'm sure they will. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, all the links on our website as well, chch.com/morninglive.